one that could be employed here in the United States.
Well, it's an almost impossible tactic to stop because you don't need a highly trained organization or a group of individuals with direct al-Qaeda links. This could be pure self-starters. It's very simple to produce this type of video, as we've seen. Just look at the YouTube phenomenon and look at the success that Zarqawi's people and others in his movement have had using the internet for advancing the jihadi cause. So in this sense, it's very easy to do. The good news is, of course, the British were following these guys for a while, and they made the decision to roll them up today. Now, that may be because they're getting close to executing their plot or for other reasons, and we'll find that out when the press conference happens.
Yeah, Roger, we're going to have you back, actually. After that, we're expecting that press conference at 10 a.m. Eastern time, so thank you for now.
You bet.
A Texas couple is caught on camera using a young girl to allegedly help them steal thousands of dollars worth of new clothes. Store surveillance video shows a child, perhaps as young as 11, joining two older people in ransacking store racks. Police are now searching for this so-called family of thieves. The child could face felony charges in juvenile court. Well, it's one of the coldest places in the country. Temperatures around Saranac Lake in upstate New York plunged to 29 below zero this week. That was the actual temperature. We're not talking about wind chill. WeatherPlus.com meteorologist Jackie Moretsky is tracking today's winter weather problems. Jackie, are there a lot of them?
There are. It's cold. We've got a lot of snow. We've got heavy rain. Depending on where you live, it's a very active weather day. The worst weather in America, Amy, I'm not going to say it's Saranac Lake. It is cold there. It's a beautiful village in the Adirondack region of upstate New York, but there are colder temperatures and there's more snow in other regions as well. Worst weather in America, we're going to start you off closer to the Great Lakes where we've got more lake effect snow and very cold temperatures. Current wind chill, 0 in Buffalo. That's what it feels like. In Detroit, Motor City, it feels like -5. Amy, I am going with Chicago because they are not only living up to their nickname, the Windy City, with strong winds 15 to 20 miles per hour. That could cause some delays at O'Hare and Midway. There are none yet, but because it's such a huge population, so many people live there, it feels like -11 in Chicago, so it is extremely cold, biting winds. That's the worst weather in America. Back to you.
Okay, Jackie, thank you. Cuban TV has broadcast new images of Fidel Castro meeting with Venezuelan President Hugo Chavez. The video was reportedly shot on Monday and shows Castro standing and generally looking healthier than the last time he was seen publicly 3 months ago. Castro's health has been the subject of much speculation. There has been no official information released, however, on his condition. A day after revealing new proof that Iran is supplying Iraqi militias with cash and heavy weapons, NBC News has now learned Iranian agents may have been directly involved in a deadly ambush on U.S. forces. NBC's Jim Miklaszewski is live for us from the Pentagon. So, Jim, what is the evidence?
Well, U.S. military officials tell us that a classified military report has pretty much concluded that the killing of 5 Americans at Karbala in a very well-planned, well-executed attack was definitely an inside job. And there are serious indicators that Iranian agents may have at least helped plan the operation and train those who were involved. Now, according to U.S. military officials, and we have to stress this, there is no hard, conclusive evidence. They don't have a smoking gun, but they say that this plan was, or this operation was so well planned, it appears that once the attackers and their convoy were waved through several police checkpoints, and then once inside the compound, there was apparently somebody planted on the inside who then led the attackers directly to the Americans. And the Americans were the only ones targeted in this attack. 1 American was killed in the initial fighting, and then 4 others were taken captive, were driven away in those SUVs in that convoy, and then later found shot to death about 25 kilometers away from Karbala. But they say that this kind of operation, the intricacies and the detail and just how it was executed had never been seen before anywhere in Iraq from either insurgents or al-Qaeda terrorists or any openly enemies of the Iraqi military or the U.S. So that is why they strongly suspect that Iranians were involved. And they also tell us that there is evidence that Iranians have been providing Shiite extremists and militias with intelligence on U.S. military operations, Amy.
And there has been a lot of discussion about the level of intelligence against Iran. How reliable is this information? Well,
you know, there's a serious debate going on right now within the Bush administration, within the military, within the intelligence communities. On one hand, some will say the evidence is very strong, those who are pretty hawkish toward Iran. On the other hand, those in the military and intelligence community who, according to one administration official, got burned when all that so-called evidence on WMD in Iraq before the U.S. invaded went sour. Once they got burned, they learned their lesson pretty well, and they're being very cautious about embracing any kind of intelligence that points directly to Iran. They do have some evidence in terms of the weaponry being used, particularly the IEDs against American troops are being shipped in from Iran, according to military officials. But on much of the other, they're taking a very cautious stand and proceeding very carefully in terms of embracing all that evidence as fact.
Okay, Jim Miklaszewski, thank you.
Okay, Amy.
Well, how do a school teacher and 2 National Guardsmen accused of having sex with high schoolers avoid criminal sexual charges? Well, it's a matter of law. That's next.
Tonight, sure he's the president, but is he abusing his power and the Constitution? The hearings that could rock D.C. Countdown with Keith Olbermann, MSNBC tonight at 8.
Keep wandering eyes off your laptop. Reassuring, removable 3M privacy filters. Now you see it, now they don't. Find yours at 3mprivacyfilter.com.
From a guy's perspective, it's very difficult to kind of verbalize some things.
It's very difficult to sit down and describe yourself in, 3 to 4 sentences.
Dating sites give you a picture and a paragraph. At eHarmony, we do the matching for you based on 29 proven dimensions of compatibility.
You tell them about you, and that's all you have to do.
Get matched with other singles pre-screened for compatibility with you.
If you're honest with yourself and you're honest with the process, then you're going to find the person you're supposed to find.
eHarmony.com. Log on today.
Look at all the premium features you get with Vonage, over 20 in all, and that means you can communicate whenever, however, and wherever you want.
The fact that I can check my voicemail online through the Vonage webpage is great.
The features save you time, and that's really where I'm focused as far as cost goes.
It's just $24.99 a month for unlimited local and long distance. Plus, get free calls to Canada, Puerto Rico, and Europe.
Get 1 month free. Call 1-800-425-630.
As a Fisher Investments client, you'll always have the opportunity to understand where your investments are, what they're doing, and more importantly, the reasons why. The way we see it, the more you know, the more you'll rest assured, and the quicker you can get back to what matters most, your life. Fisher Investments. Invest assured. For a free copy of the 8 biggest mistakes investors make, call 1-888-48-FISHER or visit fisheroffer.com.
I hope the sea would be as turquoise as my dreams.
I hope the water held the wonders I had foreseen.
I hope the beaches would stretch as far as my imagination.
I hope the Caribbean would be as warm as my expectations.
I hope the time would be as precious as it seemed.
I hope the moments would be as magical as my dreams.
I hope the views would be as wondrous as my visions.
I hope the journey would fill my soul with inspiration. I imagined it would be perfect. It was.
Officials are investigating a fire at a Salem marina this morning. Flames broke out at the Hawthorne Cove Marina around 6:30 yesterday evening. The blaze spread quickly, destroying an office building as well as a dock and several boats. Fortunately, no one was injured in the fire. Well, the former New York Times reporter who spent 85 days in jail to protect Louis Scooter Libby as a source will be back on the stand today for the prosecution in his perjury trial. Judith Miller testified yesterday for 2 hours about conversations she had with Libby regarding the outing of a CIA operative. Hardball's David Schuster is outside the courthouse in Washington. So, David, is the defense team expected to go after Judith Miller's memory once again today?
Amy, that's right. I mean, the key issue is that Judy Miller testified for the prosecution about those conversations that happened before Scooter Libby said that he even learned about Valerie Wilson. And Judy Miller, in her testimony, said that she heard Scooter Libby talking about Valerie Wilson and the fact that Wilson was working at the CIA again before Scooter Libby had the conversation where he told investigators he first learned about Valerie Wilson. So her testimony is damaging to the defense in several ways. And what the defense has now been trying to do on their cross-examination is point out that after Judy Miller got out of jail for refusing to testify about her source, Scooter Libby, she immediately went to the grand jury. And during that first grand jury session, she remembered one conversation with Scooter Libby and another conversation over the phone. But she did not remember her June 23, 2003 conversation. The prosecutors, after the grand jury session, asked her to try to go back and find her notebooks, look at her notes. She went back to her desk in New York, found in a big bag a series of notebooks, and in going through the notebooks, then remembered that she actually did have this June conversation with Scooter Libby and that she had actually written down Valerie Wilson's name in her notebook. What the defense has been trying to do is to suggest that if you couldn't remember on your own this June 23 conversation with Scooter Libby, why should the jury trust your credibility now? So they've been hammering at her memory. The other thing they've been trying to do is that while Judy Miller has testified about her source, Scooter Libby, related to the Wilsons issue, late yesterday the defense was asking her if she had any other sources that she could remember related to sort of the larger issue about pre-war intelligence and issues related to the Wilsons, and she said she couldn't remember. And then that sparked a huge court fight because, again, Judy Miller didn't want to have to testify about sources other than Scooter Libby. Her own lawyer got up and started explaining to the court that this was not something she wanted to do. And then the prosecution and the defense got in this huge argument about how far should the reporter Judy Miller have to go in talking about sources. And again, that was the whole issue that essentially prompted Judy Miller to decide she wanted to go to jail for 85 days. The judge was expected to resolve that issue overnight and make a ruling this morning about how far Judy Miller has to go in testifying about sources other than Scooter Libby. And then her cross-examination will continue again with the defense trying to show that Judy Miller is not credible. Amy?
And David, looking a little further, who do you expect on the stand next in this trial?
There will be another journalist, Matt Cooper, who was also the recipient of information from Scooter Libby about Valerie Wilson, according to Matt Cooper. He will be on the witness stand next for the prosecution. And again, this is part of the prosecution effort to show that Scooter Libby actually had the information about Valerie Wilson before he testified that he had it, and that he was disseminating this information all at a period before Valerie Wilson was outed as a CIA operative. Amy?
Okay, David Schuster, thank you.
You're welcome.
Well, police in Pennsylvania are investigating two separate incidents involving two sons of Philadelphia Eagles head coach Andy Reid. Reid's oldest son, Garrett, was involved in a serious car accident outside Philadelphia late yesterday afternoon. The unconscious victim was flown to a nearby hospital. Her condition is not known. Another of Reid's sons, Britt, is being questioned about a road rage incident that happened earlier in that day. The other driver claims a gun was pulled. He was able to get the plate number when that vehicle left the scene. Where there was once a single resolution on the president's Iraq strategy working its way around the Senate, there are now at least half a dozen, some of them put forward by Republicans. Now, while most express opposition to the president's troop surge plan, one Republican is urging his Senate colleagues to give the plan a chance. Senator John Cornyn joins me now from Capitol Hill. Senator, let's talk about your measure. It's quite a bit different from the others.
Well, it really follows on the Iraq Study Group proposal